We're good? We're in?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So welcome everybody. The topic, the core of the overall learning is what is the fashion business? And I started thinking back to my early days, what really helped me in my career? And I started thinking the best advice that I can give everybody to start is to help you become a fashion industry expert. Success in fashion is attainable and you can crush your vulnerability with your knowledge and confidence. So I'm going to share today what I call a taste of the fashion industry. I think about it as you're in a new city and you're on a double-decker bus ride and you're doing the 90-minute tour of Manhattan. I just want to give you the lay of the land. So when you go back to your drawing board or your vision board or your plans, you know exactly where to go to take the next steps. So that is what we're going to start with, what I call a taste of the industry. We're going to demystify the business today and help you bring your product to market. And I'm also going to share some of the top media resources and influences. I really find that keeping up with what is happening in the news in the business of fashion is one of the greatest ways to just figure out how to plan your business and stay ahead. So, you have an idea or you have a product to sell. Now what? How are you going to become that fashion industry? How are you going to become that fashion industry success story? I'm Daniela Platt. When creators were always seeking advice on how to turn their idea into action and a reality without a struggle, I would give them their roadmap to success. The other thing that I love to do is I help coach creators on how to pitch and open doors and to not feel vulnerable so you can stand behind your product and be an incredible success. I really feel these are not tools for me to keep when they can help you achieve. Again, the more you know in the business of fashion and the more knowledgeable you are and the greater the resources you have, you'll be able to be more comfortable standing by your product and selling it at the price point that you desire and deserve. So like I said, today we're going to share about the business of fashion to confidently bring your product to market and some of the media influences that will take you on your journey. So my story, I want everybody to take a moment and just adopt the fashion mindset that you got this. Fashion is an art form. Early on, when I first came to Los Angeles, I worked at the CMC building, which is the California Market Center. Many of the major cities that have a fashion district have an epicenter for fashion. All I saw was rolling racks everywhere. People were dressed so beautifully but unique, and I couldn't help but feel, am I out of style? I pretty much follow every magazine trend under the sun and I live and breathe this industry. What was that? And I realized these are the future of the industry. These are the creators and the designers, and they're about to set the trend. It hasn't happened yet. Kind of like you're an insider. Ultimately, I had to tell myself, I got this. I had to surrender and just accept that I'm a professional in the business surrounded by the creators and artists that I admire and adore and love. And I can't wait for them to be a success. So the good news to this is that whatever you're deciding in the business of fashion that is for you, it is a $407 billion industry just on the West Coast alone. And this is from the LA Fashion District. So whatever you have of mind, I want you to just feel confident that you can bring it to market because fashion makes people really happy. Be unique, be fearless. Society, we have this perception of what is ideal beauty. We see trends, but sometimes it feels like it's dictated to us. I just want to encourage you as the designer, be true to your vision and not the unrealistic sense of perfectionism that can hinder your style development. If I walk a trade show and I see fancy fur and bling and I question, what is it? It's a special trend specifically for a Burning Man festival, which happens to be coming up next week. You can do anything you want to do. There is a space for it. Don't feel like it's dictated to you. Apparel is an industry that helps people advance and feel a sense of self-worth. I look at fashion as, for me, it's always been my mask. It's a form of confidence. It allows for self-expression. It allows for people to come together in unity and give people a real sense of self-worth. And there's a reason it's called retail therapy. It truly makes people feel better, stronger, more confident. So define what is your style and focus on what you want to create at the core for yourself. Don't be afraid. And if fashion really matters, it really matters for your health and your wellness. I love these stories. As I walk a trade show, one of the amazing things about the industry of fashion is while we all have our own business and we stay in our lane, we're truly a family. And Sheila Simone, she's the designer. She said to me, my mom has Alzheimer's. Whenever we talk about fashion, she perks back up. It's so important, the business that we're in. What you do really matters. And my other dear friend, designer Inga Goodman, she jokes, life is too short to wear boring clothes. It's truly fashion allows you to have and manifest your best life. So remember, fashion's effect on society and society affects fashion. You don't have to be extraordinary once in a generation. You need passion, authenticity, and tenacity. And ultimately, you're going to need to build your community because you are in business. But remember, it's really about making people feel good. You're in the business of creating confidence because when you look good, you feel good. So early on, as we're going to start the taste of the industry, early on in my career, I got some really interesting advice. It was to be the source of the source. And that's what the taste of the industry really is. When I started out, I came from a magazine background and everybody had their category. One person handled beauty, another person handled automotive. So I was kind of in a state of surprise when I was told I have to learn the entire fashion industry. How does one do that? What ended up happening is over time, you learn a little bit about sourcing, a little bit about fabrics, a little bit about retail, and the broad knowledge allows you to become the source of the source. Now you have the next step in your business, you know where to go to find what you need to do. It's like we're never going to be a lawyer and a doctor, but you know the key people and the key lanes to go to serve your business and to serve your brand. So I encourage you to take this advice on, know the framework of the industry, and that will allow you to find the best partners and producers to scale and grow alongside your vision. And you can see it here just in our Garment Learning Studio team. We each have a diverse background that will help you get where you want to go. So how do you become that fashion industry expert? Well, first of all, we talked a little bit about how big the fashion industry is. I mean, $400 billion just on the West Coast alone. You can do anything as long as you have a following and people are attracted to it. We're going to talk a little bit about the top US cities for fashion design, manufacturing, and wholesaling. I also think it's really important just to kind of give you a sense of what Market Week is and a curated trade show and give you some of the top media and industry resources. Each one of these lanes we are going to go into in detail, but if I can give you the taste today, to get you started, that is the goal, but stick around because we have so much more coming. So what are the top US cities for design, manufacturing, and wholesaling? I'm amazed when people I meet in Alabama have a contemporary line, but I know that they're producing and selling in some of these top markets. So you can do your craft from wherever you are, but keep an eye on the big markets as you go ahead and launch. So many people will think that New York is the key market for US fashion trend setting. And it is clearly the global icon of the United States. But I want people to also realize how vast the other markets are as well. In fact, Los Angeles is the home to the largest manufacturing unit in the United States, as well as to the skate and surf markets, to the swim markets, and the contemporary markets. It's also we have the port of entry. So much of the goods that are designed anywhere around the world and for New York, it's all coming in through Los Angeles. So pretty much not everybody knows this, but I know Ashley and Mo and my entire team at the Garment Learning Center, and we all know that Los Angeles has a lot of the magic in making up the fashion industry. But beyond the scope of I'm from New York and I live in Los Angeles, there is a whole nother world out there. There are markets that take place in Chicago, Atlanta, and Dallas. So as you're designing your line, I want you to kind of think about where do you want to show and what makes sense and to keep these markets of mind. How do you use these markets? How do you use these top US cities? Well, planning is critical. I want you to consider if you're considering to manufacture on a wholesale basis, meaning you're going to want to sell to retailers, these cities host what's called Market Week, which brings buyers and brands together, and you showcase in a beautiful format to attract the buyers and do days of unparalleled business and networking. Oftentimes, collections are showed 6 months before the season, and they're showed several times a year. Here in Los Angeles, as well as New York, there's market that takes place 5 times a year. And I'll give you an example of how it works with the calendar. And the calendar is something that we're going to dive into deeply because you have to make sure that you are on time. So keep an eye on the rhythm of the calendar. You have to produce on time. You're going to plan your visits to these cities accordingly. So to give you an example, Los Angeles, if you are producing a fall and winter collection, you're going to show that collection in March. So I need you to pay attention to the rhythm of the calendar. If you're producing a collection for fall and winter and you're showing in March, you need to kind of back in and figure out, when do I need to start making my samples and designs to have it ready for March to then be in stores for fall and winter, which ships like July, August. So I want you to keep an eye on the seasonality of the calendars, and you have to make sure that you're producing on time, like I said, to meet these critical deadlines of market. And spring and summer is in October. Other markets run similarly, sometimes a little bit a month before, like February, a little bit later, maybe early April. But generally speaking, all of the 5 markets we mentioned run these market weeks, and you want to make sure that you want to hit that deadline, because if you don't show up, how are you going to represent your brands? So how do you keep in touch, and how do you catch that rhythm of the industry that we're always running on, that broad knowledge that will help you kind of stay in that cycle and that sphere? I advise people keep up with, the easiest way is just to keep up with the trades. WWD, the Apparel News, and the Fashion Manuscript are great ways to stay informed, to keep up with the industry. But what you might not know is you don't have to follow these rules. These are suggestions. Many brands show at market, and many brands do their own thing. Maybe you have hot items, or you have an inventory that you want to just liquidate. Maybe you have your cadre of buyers or your community, and you're just going direct. Nobody could have predicted COVID, and suddenly everybody was home wearing Zoom tops and loungewear. It is impossible to truly predict the way your business is going to go. There's always surprises. So I encourage you to be flexible, be nimble. It's your business, and ultimately you're selling to people at the right time for what they need. Obviously, they need Burning Man clothing now at the end of September. It's not necessarily something that's needed at all times of the year. So figure out, when is it that your community needs the product, and we will work with you on reverse engineering that process to get you where you want to go. So just, my last takeaway on this is, think about, when do people need your product? When do you want it out in the world? And then we can work with you on reverse engineering that process. So that is a little bit of the taste of the industry. I will mention, because this is a little bit unique, a curated trade show. Sometimes we feel like we belong in a certain place. And a curated trade show is a pre-screened trade show specific for originality, creativity, integrity, and quality. You have to apply to be in these type of trade shows. An example would be like Designers and Agents, or Coterie, or Brand Assembly. They take place in New York as well as Los Angeles. What's the purpose of this? It's like people want to be next to their friends. People want to be in a place that's already vetted. You want to go in the pre-approved area. And you also want to make sure that you're in an environment where nobody's in shock of your price point. Nobody's surprised. Because it's pre-screened, buyers and brands know what to expect and how to plan their time. So just think about it. I put this here because I'm not sure that everybody knows it. I think we all think we just go to market, and it's a very organized process for buyers and brands to really figure out, how should they stock their store? What should I create? Who's my target market? So think about it if you want to be in this curated show environment, because the process of approval, and again, we'll get into the whole process of that, the process of approval to get into a curated trade show is extensive, and I know our team really can help you get there. So I'm going to kind of just share that this is available as part of a download, the Trusted Media Resources. Show up, keep up. I'm telling you, show up, keep up. You never know who is going to have who you're going to have the next conversation with in the hallway, or you're going to read something in the news and then you're going to see it in the store and it's all going to make sense. So I read all of these publications, and I just yesterday signed up for a new publication called The Line Sheet. I am not sure if I like it yet, so stick with me on that. But sign up for the Business of Fashion, Apparel News, Fashion Manuscripts. Shop, Eat, Surf is a really fun one. The Sourcing Journal, and of course WWD. Take action. Sign up for all these newsletters. Just even if you can only read the headlines, stay informed. So thank you for joining on today's talk on how to really get to know the business of fashion, the fashion business. I want to encourage you with some 5 takeaways. Just remember, fashion matters. You are in the business of building people's confidence, helping people stand confidently on a stage to achieve. Success grows as you become confident and an industry savvy. It is a $400 billion industry. There are infinite possibilities, and there is space for everyone. Pay attention to the top fashion markets and wholesaling, whether it is for you or not aligned for you. That is how the business of fashion runs. And you also need to keep in mind that if your business is not on this cycle of fashion, you're going to need to work with your production team in a different way as well, which could work to your advantage. They might not be as busy when you need to produce. We could talk to you about that. And just remember to follow up for the media, sign up for everything, including the trade shows that we just mentioned. Sign up for everything. Make sure that you have all the information at your fingertips, because then this allows you to not just be selling a commodity. This allows you to be a strategic partner to every person that is in your supply chain and that you are working with. Both your clients, your vendors, everybody around you is going to enjoy learning from you and understanding and respecting the knowledge that you have in the industry. So thank you for joining today. I'll just mention that anybody can have a fashion line. It's the coolest thing and we'll share more stories as we go on. Fashion is attainable for everyone, and you don't have to do it all. I talk a lot. There's 3 ways that anybody can have a clothing line without any experience. It's actually recorded, I believe, on the JLS website for members as well. And we're going to be doing a live about that soon. We're going to continue to talk more about how to help you with showrooms and runways and so much more. But I really just want to encourage you that wherever you are in your career or in your idea of fashion, you don't have to do it all. You can actually create this clothing line, and we're here to support you. So that's that. So just for next steps, I'd love to hear what everybody's thoughts are on what they learned today, and start thinking of what 2 or 3 brands and people are influencing you. Pop it in the chat. Go ahead, get started with that. I can give you a minute. I also want you to start thinking of who is your target market and who is your ideal client. So often we think we have to serve everyone, but we really don't. You have to serve your community. You need raving fans who love your collection, who love what you do, who stand by you, who will pay your price points because they believe in your mission. Think about who that target market is, who that ideal client is, and that will help build your roadmap to success. So thank you very much. I'm Daniela Platt, and I hope you continue this journey with us. Our next lesson is going to be on how to navigate the fashion industry, and we're going to get into all about the lanes of fashion and the type of fashion, so you can continue on your journey to be a confident fashion industry insider. You got this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniela. That was really great. And something popped up here on my computer. So right now what I'd love to do is Ashley has a little quote for us, and well, more than a quote, she has something to say. And as I'm here, like, I just lost my whole screen for you, but you can still see me. go ahead.
Um, Basically, it's really just to wrap up what Daniela just said. The big takeaway from lesson one in the fashion business is fashion is so much bigger than we think, the whole scope of it. I mean, I like what you said, how society affects fashion, fashion affects society. It's so true. Fashion is so much more than just the clothes that we wear and the way that we present ourselves. It's our entire personalities. It influences everything that we do, and everything we do influences our fashion. It's, the way that we decorate our homes and interiors and all the textures. It's the colors that we choose for our car and the way that we walk and talk. And, this is a silly example, but it kind of goes with what Daniela was saying also, how society affects fashion. The last 3 years, we've obviously been through a lot with COVID and the looming recession, and a lot of major life events have happened. And you can tell that that's really influencing the way that we express ourselves. There's a trend that is, trending right now, and on TikTok, they're calling it recession core. And it's basically, everyone is dressing in neutrals, and everyone really wants just like those high quality staple pieces where they don't have to keep buying new clothes. They have their white, black, gray shirt, white, black trousers and jeans. And of course, not everyone is doing this. As Daniela said, trends aren't for everybody, but this is a big trend right now. Everyone wants natural nails, natural makeup, and that's because of the state of where we are, and everyone wants to save money. And then in a few years, I'm sure it'll go the other way and everyone's going to be maximalists again. But yeah, I think it's just really interesting the way that these major life events influence the way that we dress and the way that we act every day.
For sure. And, one of the things that, that black cream, let's not forget cream and gray, and those are my staples.
Yeah. A lot of people dress like that all the time, and people continue to or not, but it's funny that like Gen Z and the younger generation are now on this trend of, staple everyday. Yeah, I think
And
it's
by the way,
capsule.
those,
Yeah.
just being a little bit older than anybody here, is that those are classic, right? Those are classic. And one thing that I remember talking to somebody about was when I was growing up, it was really about buying quality pieces. And it was dressing like the French women who bought quality pieces and then a couple of trendy pieces for that season. So we want to encourage our creatives to always have that aspect of quality when possible. And when you're doing smaller batches, it's definitely easier to do. So thank you so much, Daniela. And then what I would like to do is just go over quickly what is in this course, right? So what are you coming back for each week, and so what to expect. So we're doing what's inside the fashion industry and just navigating the business of fashion. Then our second section will be design and development, which will start working more towards if you're building your brand from development. But we'll also talk about how you can get started in items of curating an item from blanks and screen prints, just to step right outside the door already, having a business. Design and development does take a little bit longer, but we'll focus on design and development next week, and then we go to the following week. We'll go to sourcing, our next section 3, and it's sourcing is finding those components that once you start your design and development, that you're starting to organize yourself and and creating the product roadmap of where you're going. And then lastly, our section 4 is fashion today and tomorrow. And that should give you an outlook and an overview of how to get started today, like what you're going to do today that you're going to stay on trend, or maybe you're not going to follow the trend, and maybe you're going to follow the trend of something being classical. So being classical is always trendy anyways. So please come and be with us each week. If it takes a little bit longer, it may take us 6 weeks instead of 4 weeks, but just be patient and hang out and you're gonna learn a lot. And this also will give you an idea, the bigger scope, and then we'll take you into individual areas and we'll deep dive a little bit further in. And as I like to say, sometimes we'll end up in those little rabbit holes, but it's okay to know that we all go down these rabbit holes, which I'm sure you all have been going down some of those as well. But once you know, you know, and you're gonna, you know, you have a team here that's here to celebrate with you.